Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for yet another video. This time we're going to be doing something different. I was wondering, what is the most expensive rotator I can make? And will it compete with my own? So I built it, and I haven't tested it yet. When I looked around, I was trying to find a nice area to get, just a nice straightaway where we can try these trucks out and compare them. I also wanted to make sure I had a load pull. That way there, it's like, okay, I'm going to need a rotator that can actually pull. So I set up a whole area. I got truck ready to be pulled with some trailers just to give an actual challenge to both, regardless of whether or not it even would affect these big, big vehicles. I mean, these things are 28 tons right out the shop. So let's get into it and see what we got. So I set up down at Juju Harbor. We got a pretty nice straightaway. It's not too long. And with the parts that we had available to us, we would be able to get nice distance without going too far or getting too fast. So let's hop on over there. Gonna hop in this here Dory Wrecker. My little guy here. Gonna head down to where the weighing station is. So we want to weigh both the rotators so that you can see just with the build the differences. So which one's heavier? Which one is gonna be at a disadvantage? Because if you got power and you got more weight, you're probably gonna have less advantage on the one that has power and less weight. So let's check out the vehicle. On the right, you guys see my vehicle, which is always in my videos, my rotator, big green. In the middle, we have the most expensive rotator so far created in Motortown behind the wheel. On the left is the load that we are going to be pulling. We're going to go ahead and weigh it a few times just to make sure that we get accurate measurements. So we're going to take 2 or 3 measurements just to make sure the number stays the same. It gives us 33.2 tons for our first weigh-in. Check the second one, verify it's the same. 33.2 tons. Awesome. Alright, let's check the most expensive wrecker in the game so far. First weight, 32 tons. Second one, 32 tons. Now I did notice that the drop axle on mine is not down. It shouldn't affect the weight, obviously, but with games, you never know. So just to be fair, I'm going to drop my axle and we're going to weigh it again. It should be the same, but just make it as fair and accurate as possible. Okay, still 33.2 tons as expected. Awesome. I'm just going to verify that this does not change. I must have shook the cab. Mess with the weight a bit. Let's check it again. It should still be 32. 32 tons equal. Didn't change anything on it, so there's no reason why the numbers should change. 32, 32. Awesome. Now that we've confirmed the weights for both rotators, my personal one 33.2 tons, and the most expensive one is at 32 even. As you can see, our challenge is going to be 1 semi, 3 trailers. And the weight we have for those is 33.8 tons, which means it's heavier than either of the wreckers. This is going to be an interesting challenge. The reason I picked Juju Harbor is because it is flat. It's a nice straight pull. We don't have to worry about hills affecting shifting and everything like that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get the first load into position for the very first pull. I think I'll set up everything in this lane here, and we'll do a straight pull. We'll try and maintain this lane. This way here, we can try and limit any changes between each of the pulls. I think the end of the double line would be a good starting point. Alright, let's go get the first vehicle. Just so I know where I'm going to be finishing, I think the start of this double line will be a perfect finishing spot. I'm just going to park this truck here and line it up. That way there, I have another visual representation other than just the lines on the ground. I wonder if my little dory would be able to pull it. Just for fun. I figure, why don't we give little Dory a chance to see if it can pull 33 tons on a flat foot. I mean, as long as I'm not lifting it, it should be able to move it. So it'll be interesting to see what time it gets. Now I'm going to switch to my other wrecker. Reason being, as you can see on this one, it has very high suspension, which I don't think will be good when trying to pull in a straight line something so heavy in comparison to the weight of the dory wrecker. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a dropped wrecker. This way here, we're as close to the ground as possible. So when we hook up, we're not at a terrible angle for pulling, which is going to end up lifting our front end off the ground, which would probably interfere with the numbers and everything. But let's go ahead and get this into position. Alright, we are hooked up. Now obviously, for the starting point, I'm going to have to move the dory back. Let's see if we can get this thing off the... Oh boy. I mean, it's to be expected. It's a modified pickup truck versus a very heavy semi. But it does just so barely have those front wheels lightly touching, which should help it with preventing it from swinging around. As you can see, it's so much weight, the brakes are not having that. As you can see, my front wheels are also spinning on the dory wrecker. So, this is going to be interesting. All right, let's give a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right, and we are off. Pretty good start, not gonna lie. 18. Okay, we got some. Okay, it is definitely getting difficult to control it the faster we go and keep it in the proper lane. And our steering is no longer helping, and finish. Our time for the dory is 31.29 seconds. That is awesome. And not to mention, we hit a max speed of 53 kilometers per hour. That's pretty freaking good. Of course, it doesn't help when the brakes cannot handle that much weight. Not at all. But on to the next one. The first rotator, which I believe I'm going to go with mine first, just because I think it makes sense to follow up. Alright, now we've done a little showboating. Let's go ahead and line up and go ahead and get the underlift into position. All right, we are in position and ready. Let's go ahead and get ready to get this countdown going. All right, got everything set up. And we are going in 3, 2, 1, go. Looking good, looking good. Not a bad start. Moving down the way. Let's go, let's go. We got this. Oh, it's picking up. That's what I'm talking about. This is what I expected from my rotator. This is the performance I wanted out of it. Pull a lot of weight and pull it fast. We come up in the finish and our max speed was 74 kilometers per hour. Our time, 21.94 seconds. That is astounding. I'm liking those numbers. It is just under 10 full seconds up the Dory, which came in at 31.29. If these two perform that well, I'm wondering how the most expensive wrecker, which I myself created and checked through the entire rotator lineup that everyone uploaded, the closest one that came to it was 3.9 million. This is a $4 million rotator. So let's see how it's going to compare to mine. Okay, now that we've got the most expensive rotator in position, we have the load in position. Let's go ahead and hook up. We're going to try and be as exact as possible as the same parameters as my record, which is make sure that the underlift is in fact parallel with the ground. So when we hook up, we're going to have the most even pull we can do. Okay, everything is looking good. We are lined up with the starting line. Let's get ready to go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Not gonna lie, this is disappointing. If you're wondering if I'm doing anything other than holding the pedal down to the metal, I am not. This is literally, I've got the pedal to the metal and this is what it is putting out, which is crazy. This is crazy. My goodness. 6 kilometers per hour? Wow. This isn't, y'all, 6 kilometers per hour? That's insane. Like, where's all the power going? It weighs less than mine. And yet it is doing 6 kilometers per hour. That's ludicrous. I mean, even the Dory took off. Well, it had problems, but it was not this. This is insane. Wow, this is what I got out of a $4 million rotator. 6 kilometers per hour. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should have driven this to test it and see how it was going to perform under load. Bro, we are maxed out at 6 kilometers per hour. That is crazy. I'm only doing 2,000 RPMs. That is nuts. It's nuts. I cannot believe this, y'all. How many of y'all actually figured that a $4 million rotator versus my $3 million was going to perform like boo-boo? This is terrible. Nobody would want this thing. They would immediately go back to them and be like, I want a full refund. You sold me a lemon. Look at this, bro. It hasn't even reached the finish line yet. And it's been how long already? Over 2.5 minutes? This is insane. Well, we're coming up to the finish. So let's get its numbers and time. My goodness. So, with a maximum speed of 6 kilometers per hour, it took 2 minutes and 52.04 seconds to reach from one point to the other with 33 tons in tow. People, don't build the most expensive rotator you can find. It is not worth it. Not at all. I guess it just goes to show the most expensive parts aren't necessarily the best parts for your build.
Another successful rescue. Thank you all for watching. If you could hit that like, and if you'd like to know the next time I drop a video, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications. Until next time, have a good day, have a good week, have a good month, have a good year, have a good life. And let's remember to be better people today than we were yesterday. Bye!